Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to another match preview. And now this one is huge. Chelsea go to St James's Park to face Newcastle in a 6-pointer. We are trying to secure UCL qualification, and this is the game that is a must-win if we want to guarantee our hopes of qualifying for the Champions League. Now, in the last game, we played Liverpool, and no one really expected us to pick up any points, a draw if we're lucky, and we managed to walk away with 3 points, which is an absolute bonus. But this is the real 6-pointer. Going away to Newcastle, playing at St James's Park with a Newcastle team that are going to sit back in a low block, who are also fighting for UCL qualification, who are going to come at us from the kickoff. It's an early kickoff on the Sunday. Can Chelsea secure UCL football by beating Newcastle at St James's Park in a 6-pointer? So in this video, I'm going to be going over the best Chelsea 11 to start against Newcastle.
And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10k by the end of 2025.
So let's predict this Chelsea 11, and in all honesty, I think we know what this 11 is going to be. We know our best 11 in terms of how it performs, but let's run through this. We're going to start in goal. We're going to go with Robert Sanchez. Now, Robert Sanchez has really surprised me. I'm not his biggest fan. I've been very public in saying that. But at the turn of 2025, he has shown massive improvements in terms of his shot stopping, which we know that he is good at. We know that he's a good shot stopper. He's conceded less chances leading to goals, which was a massive issue in the first half of the season. He's really turned a corner. Now, is he perfect? No, he really isn't. Is he going to be Chelsea's number one next season? That'll be a very interesting question. A lot of Chelsea fans, myself included, don't think he is good enough to be a long-term Chelsea number one. However, if his form by 2025 has shown us something, it is that he does have room for improvement, and maybe he just needed to adjust and learn how to distribute the ball. Distribution is still pretty poor, let's be honest. But there has been times where we've seen it work very well. And the saves that he's made in 2025 to keep us in games, or just important saves in general and less mistakes, is a massive improvement. So we're sticking with Robert Sanchez, Chelsea's number one. Now moving on to left back, obviously there's one choice and one choice only, and that is Marc Cucurella. Again, this guy has been consistently so good in a Chelsea shirt since the last 6 games playing for Poch, when we discovered he could play this inverted role, and it took him to another level. It felt like we'd signed a new player, and he's kept his consistency all the way through. Cucurella is a fantastic left back, and he was definitely up there in the shortlist for player of the season for Chelsea. Unfortunately beaten by Mr. Moises Caicedo, and rightfully so when you look at their performances. But Cucurella has been fantastic, and I'm hoping that he can have a very good game locking down the Newcastle wingers, and when he has to squeeze in or invert or even find him in the half spaces going forward, because we know how many goals and assists that Cucurella has been involved in this season, he can absolutely execute. Now moving on to the two centre-backs, I feel like the two centre-backs are going to be Levi Colwill and Trevor Chalobah. They seem to be the most solid centre-back pairing that we currently have, especially for the Premier League. We know that Enzo Marasca really favours Levi Colwill. And again, I've said many times, Levi Colwill's been on fraud watch. He shows glimpses of being an insane talent and glimpses of being, you know, that 21, 22-year-old kid that is still developing. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is a lot of room for his development in the years to come. And I feel like his line-breaking passes and, you know, his high ceiling of potential, his ball-carrying abilities, carry him through sometimes. And again, in 2025, I feel like he has turned a corner a bit and improved. I know that we went through a slump, that month and a half, nearly 2 months of just poor performances, poor results. And he was at the heart of a lot of that. When he was partnered with Fofana at the early start of the season, you could see that there were faults to that centre-back partnership. There's faults to his game. And of course, you're going to see that over time for a young player developing. But you can see, as the season's gone on, how he has improved, and there's less of those. Sometimes, I will say, he overcommits or he makes a silly challenge, and I feel that's just a sign of immaturity in his game, or a frustration. So let's hope that he can, you know, he's going to have to deal with Isaac, one of the best strikers in the Premier League, him and Chalobah. And Chalobah, on the other hand, regardless of the situation at the end of the season, which I think is pretty disgusting in terms of the board still willing to sell him, this guy has been an absolute soldier for Chelsea, who bleeds blue, is a Cobham graduate, and knows everything about this club, knows what it means to win trophies. When you take that aside and you look at his playing ability and how he's performed this season, he's been Mr. Reliable. Very minimal mistakes. He's been solid in the air. He's been solid carrying the ball forward. He's been a centrepiece of that centre-back partnership and that defensive line to make sure that we can see out games. When Enzo Marasca said we need to learn how to, win 1-0 comfortably, we then went on a run of winning 1-0 or by one goal and locking out teams, and we really did show an improvement in that side, and I feel like Chalobah has been a key to that. So I feel like Enzo's going to go with those two. I think in the last game in the Cup where we played abysmally against Newcastle, Badiashile and Tosin was the pairing, and they got found out. They got fouled out massively. Now, there's still some conspiracies that we threw that game, etc. And of course, we didn't perform very well at all, so there is that. But I feel like Chalobah and Colwell is our strongest centre-back partnership currently, especially with Fofana out injured. Now, going on to right-back, this is where things get interesting for a lot of fans, and it excites me. I'm putting Moises Caicedo because we know that he's going to invert. And again, playing Moises Caicedo in that right-back role who inverts into midfield to give the stability to the sixes, allows one of them to push up to be a second 10 or advanced 8. He transforms the way that we play, and I feel like when Enzo Marasca talks about the system and the tactics and the players, the last couple of games we've seen this system being implemented and it's worked absolute wonders, and it gives me hope as a fan to go, this is the long-term vision of how he wants his team to play. And when teams don't sit back in a low block, they struggle to deal with us because of how fluid it is, the defence to attack. Yes, we know we need to be more clinical in the final third. We know that. We're going to address that in the summer transfer window. At least we hope we do. That is our number one priority. But Moises Caicedo, starting at right back, he plays that role as a right back very well. And for a guy who's a little bit smaller in terms of height and in that area of football at professional level, he is very good at aerial duels, which surprises me, and it adds another layer and a dimension to his game. He's good in the air, great defensively, breaks up play. The one thing I will say though, and this is where Newcastle could exploit on the counter, is Caicedo naturally drifts into central positions rather than staying out as a right back. Now, I know that when we have the ball he does invert into midfield, so it makes sense that he does that, but when it is defensive time to be defensive, time to be that right back, you can see that sometimes he likes to go nibble, try and win the ball back, and he pulls himself forward, and sometimes that position, I'm not faulting his game, it's just something that I've picked up on in the last 2 games when he's played in that role. But I know that playing him there, he will be unbelievable. Now, moving on to the 2 holding midfielders, we are going to go with Romeo Lavia, who is fit, ready and available, and honestly cements himself into this Chelsea first team if he can stay fit. What an absolute talent he is. And to be honest, he's another player that's so integral to the system and how we can play Enzo Marasca style football with the way he wants his players to play. He's so cool, calm and collected on the ball in defensive areas, turning out into midfield, driving the ball forward, breaking up the play. He is such an amazing talent, and people seem to forget, and I even forget sometimes, that he's only 21 years old. It blows my mind that he has such high ceiling and room for development, and we're seeing him develop in real time for the longer that he stays fit. And Enzo Marasca's done very, very well to wrap him in cotton wool and keep him as fit as possible. There's been a lot of injuries where I assume that he can't help it, whether it's in training or his body is just going through a bit of trauma in terms of the repetitive injuries, and hopefully we can nullify that, because if he stays fit for at least 65-70% of a season, Chelsea will be challenging for a lot of titles and trophies, because he's so integral to how that midfield plays. And then partnering, and we're going to go with Enzo Fernandez, who in my opinion has had one of the biggest rises in development this season under Enzo Marasca. He's been fantastic, 20 GA this season in a Chelsea shirt, the best football he's played in a Chelsea shirt since signing, and I feel like that is a lot of credit to Enzo Marasca and also Enzo Fernandez for taking on board the advice, trying to apply it game in, game out, because we're seeing it every time. Marasca has said many times Enzo needs to learn how to be that late runs into the box, like that box crashing midfielder, and we've seen more and more of it since the turn of the year. He's scoring more goals and setting up more goals. He's been absolutely fantastic, and he is the centrepiece of that midfield. And when you've got Caicedo, Lavia and Enzo Fernandez all fit and raring to go on their A game, we genuinely have one of the best midfield threes in the Premier League, in Europe's top 5 leagues. Like, it's going to be insane if we can keep that midfield three fit, ready, developing and together for many years. That's going to be the core that lets us kick on and go back to where we all want Chelsea to be. And when it comes to the left winger, we are going with Mr. Noni Madueke, because, again, it feels like we've signed a new player by playing him on the left. And I remember briefly, and I will always say this because I just remember the reaction from it. Earlier in the season, I was just asking questions to you guys and the community on lives and stuff and saying, what if we played Noni Madueke on the left-hand side? And I got cooked for it. Fair enough. The way that modern football is, you have a left winger that will be right-footed that cuts him, and vice versa on the other side. I understand that. But I also remember a time where it would be the other way around. Your strongest foot would be the side you play on. Maybe it's changed because of the tactics and how easy it can be to defend that. But Noni Madueke on the left-hand side is a completely different player. He's found a new form of confidence. He's using his weaker foot when you can see he's improving on his weaker foot this season, trying to get more shots off, trying to get more shots on target, being more direct. And with the league knowing Noni plays on the right cutting in, when he plays on the left, they think, is he going to go outside, is he going to go inside? It's relatively fresh for opponents. They're like, we don't know how we're going to deal with Madueke on the left. And he's having so much fun doing it. So I want to see Noni Madueke on the left because I genuinely think he would be he's our best winger outright this season. Most direct, most GA, his performances speak for itself. Yes, he can improve, maybe on the defensive side, but we've seen little improvements here and there with that. On that left-hand side, I honestly think he's our best left winger when he plays there. It doesn't matter either side he plays. And even if you go during the game and swap the wingers, left to right so they interchange, it gives us another dynamic as well to keep Newcastle's defence and midfield on their toes. So Noni Madueke has to start on the left for me. When it comes in the 10 role, obviously it's Mr. Cole Palmer, and this guy seems to have found form at the right time, the perfect time. That penalty he scored against Liverpool breaks that long stint without a goal. He's been getting assists, consistently, whether it's just the one or a double or whatnot, and he's been performing well. And arguably against Liverpool, he was one of the best players on the pitch. He was so influential to the game, and it seems like he's kind of got over this slump. He's getting his confidence back, and hopefully that can continue between now and the end of the season, the last kick of the last moment of the Conference League final, and we can get the best version of Cole Palmer. Because honestly, when he's firing on all cylinders, it elevates our game so much because he is the maverick, he is the creator, he is the poster boy for Chelsea, and rightfully so after the season he had last season. So hopefully he can get on the score sheet or even create a few goals. We know he's going to create chances, but get some assists or get on the score sheet. It'd be perfect for him in this 6-pointer. Now, when it comes to the right wing, I'm going to go with Pedro Neto. Now, I know Pedro Neto, we've been, historically told this season he can't play 2 games in a week. He needs to be wrapped in cotton wool. And I feel like this is a player that goes under the radar in terms of the injuries, right? We know that he's also very injury prone, or can be. So I feel like Enzo Marasca's done incredibly well to keep him fit, implement him in the right way. And he's also played on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. And I feel like, again, when he's got someone like Noni, or he's playing a team that don't sit back, and Neto can try and get in behind, try and be a bit more direct, swing them crosses in, create them chances, that's when he thrives. And I feel like this type of game is going to be, it's either going to be end-to-end, or both teams are going to try and sit back and suss the other team out before they try and attack. So either going to be counter-attacking football or end-to-end, like in transition, and it's going to be, for a neutral, this should be a very good watch. Both teams are going for the UCL qualification spots. They need the 3 points. We're playing each other. It sends the other one down a bit further. Nottingham Forest in a few games' time as well. We've got to play them. They're also fighting for this spot. So it's going to be a very good watch for a neutral. And I feel like Pedro Neto he can score a goal. We saw the goal he scored against Fulham. He's technically gifted. I think it's just it's a consistency thing with Neto. So hopefully he could be in a run of form, play very well, and make some massive contributions to this game. And when it comes to the number 9, it's obviously Mr. Nicholas Jackson. Now, this guy has gone through a very strange season in my eyes because he started off very well. He's getting goals and assists. Then it went for a bit of a dry patch. Then he got injured. Now he's come back and he's had game time, and you can see that we've missed him in terms of what he brings to the game, but it's also highlighted that we desperately need a clinical number 9 because he isn't as reliable in the finishing. We know that he's improved, but he's still not where we need him to be. But his work rate, his pressing. I think the last game, the Liverpool game, honestly, he was one of the worst players on the pitch. And I love Jackson. I'm one of his biggest fans. I want him to succeed and do well, and I think he has improved from last season to this season, even if he's played less throughout the season in terms of contributions. But he was arguably one of the worst players against Liverpool, and we still went on and performed so incredibly well. So I'm hoping that he can sort of turn it on against Newcastle. Maybe if he doesn't score, get an assist. Bring that link-up play, that hold-up play, that running in off the shoulder type of play, linking up with the midfield. Dropping deep to then spray it out wide. That's what we want to be seeing from Jackson. And of course, we want to see him finishing chances in the box. So hopefully Jackson has a nice run of confidence, and he can get on the score sheet, get an assist, and help us secure the 3 points. The other thing to note is Mark Guiu should be available and in the squad as well, so we may we may see some minutes from Mark Guiu, which I would be super excited to see, because it's been such a long time since we've seen Mark Guiu play football, and he's missed on this huge opportunity to get, Prem minutes and all these minutes because Jackson was injured, and it's unfortunate to get injured in the same game. But we could be seeing Mark Guiu, which is very exciting. We could also see Tyreek George get minutes on the left or as a number 9 who plays very well in that position. But that is my Chelsea 11 to face Newcastle at St James's Park. It's Sunday, 12 o'clock, massive game, 6-pointer. We need to get the win to secure UCL qualification. I'm feeling confident. I'm still in the beautiful countryside of Wales on this work trip, and maybe it's just where I am, but it's the calm before the storm. Tomorrow is huge, absolutely huge. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on the starting 11, how you're feeling about the game, what the score predictions you are feeling are going to be down below in the comments. I'm going to go for a narrow win. I'm going to say 3-2 Chelsea. I think there's going to be lots of goals in this game. I don't know why, I've just got a feeling. There's no stats to back that. I'm just feeling like the game is going to be quite open, both teams going at it, goals are going to be scored, goals are going to be conceded. So I feel like one team is going to just edge it, and I feel like it's going to be Chelsea, maybe a 3-2 or a 2-1. It's going to be very fine margins, but I think we can get this over the line and secure UCL football. Now, if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one, and I mean it, you are a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail that appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail and you'll enjoy that video too.